So it's a few days before season, and I've just been scouting out some areas that I'll be able to hunt come season opener. And I kind of found this area that has got a lot of little crossovers from finger to finger. Coming down, I don't know if you can see these mountains way up there, but these fingers seem to have just a ton of pretty well established trails between certain locations. So I might be sticking a tree stand here, but I'll also be doing some spot and stalk. So just walking around trying to get a little bit of lay of the land. Very serene right now. There's no outside noises or anything, no planes, just the wind and the trees, and occasionally you bump a deer. But I'm gonna keep on going around and see if I can scope out a second spot that I might give a try. I've set a camera here, so we'll see what happens over the next couple of days before the season opens. Now, this is my first time hunting the Coues deer out here, and I'll say, you know, I mean, the places that you get to see when you hunt the backcountry in the West is pretty phenomenal, and things that you wouldn't normally see elsewhere. So, of course, this is January. This is a good day in January. We do have snow up in the peaks over here, but I mean, just the views that you get to take in while you're out here and while you're scouting and while you're hunting is well worth the trip by itself. So hopefully I can share some of that. Climbed a good ways up here, and I'm not going to be hunting up here, but I figured that I would glass this area that's down below me over here, and just to kind of get an idea of what each one of these folds and fingers are doing. Earlier, there's a ridge that's in front of us that's about right in here. I was over on one of these fingers that's coming out here, but I'm camped kind of in that same valley just over the ridge. I'm kind of curious about what's going on really on this backside, because I'm thinking about going from camp and walking up this ridge and then hunting down in here. So I want to spend a little time looking to see what's going on here, since I've got that afternoon sun that's getting ready to hit everything, or actually it already is. But I'm up here a good ways, and you can see that it's a nice country. So I'll just glass for a while and see if I can spot anything down there. Well, it's the day before opening day, and yesterday we spent some time finding one little spot where we set a tree stand in and made sure we had some good clear shooting lanes. It was a good location. It's actually near camp, not really that far, maybe half mile now from our camp. Found a good convergence of trails. A lot of track going through there, so we might have some good activity there. So we decided to go ahead and set up at that location. While we were there, ended up having a good group of Gould turkeys come in. They're a good herd, or a good flock, at least 12 to 14, and I managed to get within 20 yards of them. I just think they're not hunted that much that they're not spooked too much like the eastern birds are, or any other birds that are hunted a little bit more than these guys are. But we've had some weather come in. It might snow tonight, but then actually clear off. I'm actually up checking weather right now. But if you can see it back here behind me, this is right above, you know, camp. We're snow covered on top, but we're hunting down in these valleys over here, so we should be somewhat protected. It's just nice and wet right now, but hopefully we'll dry out, make it a little bit easier on camping and hunting. But still beautiful country, still a nice place to roam around. Saw some deer on the way in up here. Of course, I'm riding the TW around. That's kind of my main source of transportation. You can see these roads that are down here. They're good and muddy and slippery. The further up you go up the mountain, they're actually getting snow covered. But this is kind of the location I have to get to be able to check the weather to see if it's changing or if there's anything that we need to worry about. But it looks like we might be stuck in camp for the rest of the day. If the rain kind of holds off, and I think it will for a few more hours from looking at the forecast, we might be able to go and do some last minute checks before opening day. Their activity on the road has been drastically reduced today just because it's kind of bad weather. You can see that, you know, we're kind of almost in the clouds. We got some clouds below us over here. But hopefully tomorrow it's a good day. Well, it's opening day, and we woke up to some pretty heavy winds and some rain. And now we've kind of got on and off snow around us. So we're going to wait until this clears out. It's supposed to clear out maybe later on today and give way to some better sunny and warmer temperatures, so that we're not just sitting out there freezing. Some of the hunting is going to be a mix of spot and stalk. The other some of our other hunting, and the other half will probably be tree stand. We set one up about a half mile from camp 2 days ago. We went ahead and pulled the cameras, and we've got at least some doe on camera, so we know it's a good travel point. And we're just waiting for weather.
Today's January 2nd. He's getting his stuff ready to be out there.
Well, this is my first morning to hunt. I'm hiking back to where I've got a tree stand, but it was nice and cold this morning. I kind of hope that when the sun gets up, it starts to warm things up. They start to move a little bit. I'm sure they hunkered down. We had icicles inside the camper last night, just from our breath condensing on different things that touched the outside of the camper. Our door was actually frozen shut. So it was pretty cold. It was probably in the upper teens, but it's supposed to warm to the low 50s today, so I expect as the sun gets up that it's gonna be a little movement, I hope. So I'm trying to sneak back in there, but the ground's frozen, so it's like walking on like peanut butter brittle. So it's loud, so I'm trying to sneak in here. So I'm trying to get in here and get set up. It's still about a quarter mile away. Well, I abandoned this stand about an hour ago, and I hiked up here, and I've been glassing all along this bottom, you know, these ridge lines that are over here. Seeing if I spot anything. I haven't spotted anything yet. I think I'm going to work my way over. There's a little knob that's right over here. Work my way on top of that one and then glass down in between these two valleys that are over here. So far, the first actual morning of hunting has been more sightseeing, but it's nice to be out of the camper in all the bad weather. Weather's actually turned nice, and it was cold this morning, but it feels good in the sun. I'm actually getting warm walking around. I'm gonna bounce around and work my way down. Camp is back this way, so I'm gonna go out and then down back to camp. Kind of work into some of these areas and see if I bump anything or see anything to make me feel like coming back to those areas. I'll say that it's a very quiet place, other than when a truck goes by. But if the wind's not blowing and it's not raining, it is just dead quiet. And at least now it's not as loud walking around through here. But you still make quite a bit of noise, and on these steep inclines you just can't help but make noise while you're walking around. And I'm sure that it just carries, so I'm trying to spot them from a good ways off. I'll keep bouncing around. So, on these steep inclines, it seems like these little oaks and patches of evergreen give them some shade, and a little depression here. Deer bed that's in there. It's got deer fur in it, so I'm fairly certain, and the tracks are kind of in a bunch of different angles, so I'm pretty sure that's kind of a primary bedding location. It's gonna be in behind these trees on these sun-facing sides of the mountain, so I'll be looking in those. Let's see if I can locate some. Well, I've had one of those. I hope I put my stand in the right location today. Didn't really see anything. Did see a coyote up on the ridge passing by, but that was about it. Just a cold sit. But heading back to camp. Plan to do something similar tomorrow. Maybe some spot and stock in the afternoon, but should be hopefully a better day. See you guys tomorrow. Well, this is day 4 of sitting in the same location. My first couple of days actually had some does come through, but the last 3 days sitting in this stand didn't have anything. Just the one coyote that came in at the top of the hill just for a fraction of a second. If I don't see anything going on, probably by midday, I think I'm going to abandon this location. It may have just been a you know, 1 or 2 time thing where I had these does cross through, and it's just, the area is just too big to have them come in that one area, even though it seems like it's a good convergence of trails. They're just not using it. There hasn't been a fresh track in there in a couple of days. I think, well, actually in, I think 4 days. So now the ground has been freezing, so that's one thing, but there's been a camera down there and they haven't walked in front of it. And I've got it right on the convergence of all the trails, a little bit back, so that I would catch anything that was coming by, but haven't seen any sign of any rutting activity. It's still a little early. This is the 5th of January, but I'm gonna go get in there and see if anything happens. Well, after kind of confirmation that I didn't see anything today, it's past midday now. Pulled my camera off of that tree stand, and it had a single doe at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the rest was me getting in and out of the stand over the last 4 days. So I went ahead and pulled the stand and the camera, and I'm not gonna go back to that location. I'm getting ready to go, I guess, scout this ridge line and take a look at all the fingers that are down along that ridge. It's one that I can see from where I'm sitting at camp. So hopefully that turns up something a little bit more than what I had. My first days of the camera over there were pretty promising. There was a lot of trail convergences, but it just didn't produce anything while I was sitting there. The wind would just swirl around and go in every different direction, so I just could not really guarantee if anything was going to come in there. It wasn't gonna smell me, and my shot range in there was, the longest was 25 yards. That would be an ethical shot. So they would have had to get in close range for me. I did have one that might have been a 35-yarder, but it would have been a tough one, especially on a Coues deer that would have probably been preloaded to jump the string. So I'm going to go for a hike, carry the bow with me, maybe see if I can spot something from this ridge line down one of the fingers and see how it goes. But my wife and I will do it, and hopefully just get a little sightseeing in also. So we'll see you later.
Is this the path that the deer take? Hmm? I'm a deer.
She don't like that.
You found one. Hey. For a shed.
That's it, yeah. Shed antlers find you, you don't find them. is slippery ghost. It lets you.
What do you think?
It must be this scree pattern.
Yeah. Screen pattern. We're invisible. Uh-oh. What the fuck? Can she come here? Let's go better.
Well, this is my last day. I just now hiked up to a finger coming off Main Ridge. Down below me, there's a bunch of pretty deep game trails that cross over. Down over here, there's another finger that comes out, so this is a good low point where they can cross between finger and finger. So I've just set up on the ground behind a couple of little bushes. Gonna cool myself down. The sun just came up over the ridge, so I'm gonna start getting warmer, but I got a little sweat going coming up the ridge, even though I had all my vents open and everything. I had to take a couple breaks so that I didn't get too hot, but now I'm sweating. The sun is in my eyes, but hopefully this is a good spot. Found another shed on the way up here, so this is the third one I found on this ridge since yesterday. So I think that the bugs like to frequent up here, so I'm just gonna settle in for a few hours and see what they can do for me. Might start to rattle every now and then, but hopefully it turns out good. This will be a good last morning before we take off out of here. Got 2,400 miles to get home. It's a long way to travel to come up with tag soup. We'll have to move to a different spot. I'm actually not satisfied with this location. Earlier I was up this ridge just a little bit. I could hear a deer blowing down here, and it wasn't because of me. The wind was blowing up the mountain unless there was some sort of vacuum that pulled my scent down. So I went further up the ridge and kind of looped around to where I could be up on top of where I thought this deer was, but I haven't been able to hear anything or see anything, and you just can't not make noise when you're moving around, so I didn't hear anything move out of my way. Found a number of beds all up underneath these trees. So you can see like where these trees are, they've got a little flat area in them, especially the ones that are on the north side. If they got a little flat area in them, you can investigate them, and they'll have that little kidney bean shaped depression behind them. And if you look closely, you'll find deer fur in them, so you know that they're bedding in them, and they're bedding all up this ridge that's behind me. But what I'm looking at in front of me is quite a nice view. I think for the remainder of this hunt, I'm going to just kind of zigzag myself back and forth down this mountain, really kind of learning a little bit about what these deer are doing. I don't think that I'm going to be lucky, although yesterday we managed to walk up on a doe at 15 yards, and she actually put her head down behind a tree and kept on eating like we weren't even there. And she only, I think, once we got within 10 yards, maybe even a little less, that's when she took off. But really not that alerted either. She just kind of bounded over the hill and then just went about her business. But I don't know if I'll bump into any like that. That would be kind of nice. Still haven't seen much of any sign. One scrape up the hill this way yesterday, and that was it. No, sorry, not a scrape. It was a rub. So I haven't seen any scrapes up on this side of the mountain. But I'm getting ready to. So I'm going to zigzag myself down this little ridge down here, since my camp is, let's see, is way over there. But this is last day, and it was good learning. So I think that next time I'll be a little more prepared for what it is that I need to do out here. Maybe a few years before I make this trip, just because it is, you know, it's quite a ways, and I get the hunting license every year just so I can collect points for draw hunts. But for now, this is something that you can get every year, at least right now. And so I'll plan for a couple more years ahead and be able to come back and see if I can actually see a Coues deer buck in the flesh while I'm hunting. But enjoyed the hunt.